Oh my goodness. Okay, this is not a Macarena stream. This is like a books stream. So what I need to do is I need to escape out of this. Yeah. Shout out to my dear friend Eldo Hearts. We go back, and he he caught. I sent him some of my Twitch stuff, and he was like, he actually called me back. He was like, "Give me your YouTube channel," which is the Real Mystic Mask, and I'm yeah, it's. I have a monetized YouTube channel, which is David MCB1, which has been there for years. Should probably have started with that, but I don't know. I just wanted to have create like a whole standalone thing. Um, Family home Christian books. Yes. Christian values. The Yemen famine. Backing Saudi Arabia. Good Christian country that we live on. Sanctions on Iraq. 500,000 children dead. Support for Russia against the Chechen rebellion. Military personnel in the holy city, Mecca. All right, so fishermen, faith, and angels. Okay, what do we got here? Jesus and the Sermon on the Mount. Jesus is all right. It's all right. But, he was kind of, yeah, a little bit suicidal. Negative. Current scholarship is kind of, there's a consensus that Jesus was a Jewish apocalypticist, and as such was a pessimistic dualist, and that's why he got himself into trouble and was killed promptly. Yeah, if you like a lot, and this is a thing. I hope that in this modern era, it seems like people would be fascinated by learning about what we know about when Jesus was alive, because the whole world was going on. But what goes on is like, I feel like the church, they know if you study the Bible, if you actually really carefully study the whole text, these Christian Bibles or whatever you study, all that you just don't believe a lot of things, and a lot of things are inconsistent and so on. But you could get in if you got into it. Like one thing that, well, first of all, my mother read the Bible to me when I was very little, before I went to the first grade. I remember being scared in the book of Daniel with the lion's den, and what is it, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the fiery furnace. Oh man, I was scared. And Abraham, and then when it got to Joseph being sold into slavery, I was like, is my mom trying to warn me that my brothers are gonna, you know, get rid of me or something? I was very, but before the first grade, I really didn't make it. My mom got me into Judges, right? Samson and Delilah. I knew about that when I was 6. She did a good job. Um, but what I was going to say is, like, what you get with a lot of these churches is, first they're like, well, if we make the Bible's going to be too big and nobody's going to carry it. Okay, I could sort of use some music here, background music. the Bible would be too big, and I don't want to carry it. So they make the print too small to read, which is even better, right? Because you don't want people reading it. When they read it, they're going to have a lot of questions, right? And this is what, like, I work in a black neighborhood, and I've always lived, growing up in East Atlanta, and actually some pretty rough neighborhoods, and survival there, it's actually, it's all about your attitude. If you're a good and decent person, and you don't make out like the color of somebody's skin tells you something, it doesn't tell you anything really about the person at all. And if you're like that in these neighborhoods, you never have any problem. I have very little problems most of the time. Violence in these neighborhoods is white on white and black on black. The worst violence is white on white and black on black. And interracial violence is like, I almost never see it. I got a black guy I was wearing some kind of Japanese shirt with a rising sun on it, which is kind of incendiary when you think about it. But I thought it was a beautiful kind of sweatshirt or whatever like that. But this guy started making these kung fu moves. He's walking towards me. I'm like, I was like, I had like a bag. I was like, I've got this bag. I can't hit you with the bag. And he's like, whoosh, throwing these roundhouse kicks, and he kicks me a couple of times. He's like, oh, you're wearing a shirt with some Japanese on it. You must think you're kung fu or something. I was like, well, no. But the interesting thing about it is a black guy who had nothing to do with this. Here's this one black guy is like, decided to kick me in the stomach. And here comes another black guy. And this happened several times in my life where, another, a black guy was bullying me, and then another black guy actually intervened and stopped it, Which, when I was beat up by a white kid, Marcus Keith was beating me up. Really, all the white kids gathered around to watch it, enjoy the pleasure of me. I never threw a punch at him. I was like, I want to be your friend, Marcus. Why are you beating me up? He suspected somebody of telling on him for some shit he did at school, right? So one by one, he was kicking people's ass on the way home from school. He was walking with me and acting friendly. I was like, hey, this is cool. Marcus Keith likes me. That's awesome. He starts beating me up, and it's like people were waiting to see it. He was like, I'm going to kick this guy's ass today. And everybody was like, let's watch it. I was put in the hospital. Beat me up so bad. I didn't resist at all. I'm just the kind of person, I don't, you see me on here playing Mech Arena and stuff like that. I never played these games in my whole life. And I can see that my daughter, in the 2 years she was here and I was teaching in elementary school, she really got into gaming and stuff. And I'm not going to try to fight it. I need to engage it, so I'm playing these games or whatever. But I think everybody should have a healthy attitude about games. Have some fun. It's not real. And, get violence and stuff out of your system if you have it in your system. But, hey, I'm going to talk about books some. Wow, look at this cool. The invention of Hugo Cabret. Wow, that's like an attractive... Oh, wait a minute. I'll say. Let me get this on the screen. This is my take on books today. What is this? 5 feet apart. Excellent condition. Wonderful. All right. The Jesus stories, I get tired of that because it seems to be a big waste of time, the Jesus stories, because look, my wife was Catholic, and she had no idea. Gospel of Mark, what's that? I said, look, it's the shortest gospel. I'll read it to you. Sat down one evening. You can read it, I don't know, less than an hour, right? And people, used to like to hear me read when, I was put in a 4th grade class when I was in the 6th grade. Teacher was like, he's beyond grade level, and I don't like him in my class because he makes me look dumb. I mean, basically that's what's going on. he's making me look bad. Have him go teach some kids, and you can have a cigarette break. So literally, down there in East Point, I was at Oak Knoll School at the end of my sixth grade year. Really, I was reading children's novels to the fourth grade every afternoon while the teacher, went to the lounge or whatever like that. So, I think the Gospel of Mark is it's beautifully written, and it's got wisdom in it, some teaching. And the original Gospel of Mark is nice in that it doesn't have any account of a resurrection from the dead. Resurrection from the dead is not really an old biblical concept. The Jewish people were trying, there's evidence. They were under slavery in Egypt. And in Egypt, you had a god for everything. You had the god of farts. If you need somebody to administer your fart, you had to have a priest to say the incantation or what. It was like such a cottage industry that, they recognized it was a real bad thing on the society. And an emperor came along around the time that the Jews made the Exodus, or the story tells of the Exodus. I will say, in terms of historicity of the Exodus, we have, the Charlton Heston, or something. My wife once said, my wife is a person of color, right? She's like, Egypt is not in Africa. Black people are in Africa. Moses is not black. I'm like, dear. She's like, because I saw, on Disney or whatever on TV, he's not black. It's like, no, that's Africa. And, you find a phenomena talking about this issue. What we know biologically about people having dark skin is, there are more people with dark skin on the planet than there are people with light skin. Actually, dark skin is a good thing. Biology is now telling us that it's an adaptation that protects you against the cosmic rays from the sun. So it's actually beneficial to have dark skin. But, okay, what is it? Divergent. Veronica Roth. The Secret Garden by Francis. 5 feet apart. Okay, so. But what we know, the story that we have in the Exodus, there's not a lot of, we don't have historical, really. That's so long ago that we don't have much historical evidence that it actually happened that way. Something may have happened. And interestingly, what around that time, there was a pharaoh, and his name was Akhenaten, and he was, I think, the father of King Tutankhamun. Don't take my word for it. You should look it up yourself. What's this? Unfortunately, yeah. Gordon Corman. Ungifted. Right. What is that? Not sure. Okay, it's a kid's book. This is The Journey of Ga'Hoole. All right. But anyway, we do know that Akhenaten and King Tut were real. We really do know that. And we know that Akhenaten tried to deal with this problem of, the cottage industry of religion, where, there's like a god of the toenail, so if you have a toenail problem, you have to go find some guy and pay him, And on the one, I do believe economic activity should take place for the purpose of mutual benefit, like somebody that can meet a need of somebody else. That's why economic activity should take place. It shouldn't take place to make Jeff Bezos be able to put a war platform with Elon Musk on Mars to launch an attack on Earth. No. Right? Economic activity should, support. Oh, wow. Kazuo Ishiguro. This guy's very famous, right? Right? And I'm not familiar with this story. The Buried Giant, right? Japan, if you've ever seen a television show from Japan, every manhole down there, there's a dinosaur that's buried. That if you poke him, he'll bust out and knock over all the skyscrapers. You think they'd give up building skyscrapers, but no. Insurgent by Veronica Roth and Divergent by Veronica Roth. Oh, it's a set. Kazuo Ishiguro. That's a good book. All right, but what about Akhenaten? Well, he built, The Kite Runner. This is definitely a good book. Khaled Hosseini. And I know it's a good book because I have not read it and I don't have any idea what it's about. I kid you not. No, I actually read a book by him called A Thousand Splendid Suns, which is it's not a propaganda book, but it's a book about Afghanistan. I was really impressed with it, and I think everybody should read it several times. It'd be good. Yeah. Walter Dean Myers' Monster. Extras inside. Who knows? Steve Harmon's Black. He's in jail, maybe forever. He's on trial for murder, and he's 16 years old. Scary. Harper Teen Books. We'll see. Looks like it's been read, at least. That's a good thing. I have a bookstore. All right. But anyway, King Akhenaten built a city called Amarna. A Farewell to Arms. Do you remember on The Evil Dead? The guy, the thing with the arm in the book was there, Farewell to Arms or whatever, Ernest Hemingway. No, that Hosseini book, the Kite Runner, I'm sure it's good because Hosseini is a very, very good writer. And he wrote another book, which I did read, called A Thousand Splendid Suns, which is just incredible. It should be read over and over again. It's really good. But yeah, Akhenaten built a city called Amarna. Okay, well, what about Amarna? Well, there's a tell. What a tell is when a place is depopulated for a long time and then maybe somebody comes around and the climate changes or something, they're like, hey, we could build here again. It's actually a good place again. And then we would build up. And then that place would fall into ruin or whatever. So, Jericho, for example, is a city like that. I think Jericho, the city of Jericho, was first inhabited. The evidence is that it was something like 8,000. It had 8,000 before the Common Era. It's a long time ago, right? Jericho was in it. But there's a tell, Jericho, the city of Jericho, because it was occupied and then abandoned and then occupied again and then abandoned. It's like they built on top of ruins. So there's all these layers of habitation and it makes a big mound. So Amarna is a big mound like that where Akhenaten had built his monotheistic city or whatever. And why is that important to the story of Exodus? Well, the reason why it's important is because some tablets were found there. And in the tablets, they were expelling the Hebrew people because they have a plague, right? They have a disease or something like that, and we're expelling them out of Egypt, right? That we don't know for sure that the Hebrew people. Oh, here comes my daughter. How you doing, dear? Drawing on the refrigerator? Drawing on your drawing? She's drawing on her nice little picture over there. It's good. Yeah. She doesn't. Mom prepared some beef strips or something. She doesn't like to eat them. But she got some cereal. She's eating that. She ate a little bit of rice and a cream cheese bagel. A little bit. But you need to eat more good stuff, right there. You'll feel better. Right? And if you eat all that stuff up, maybe you'll get chocolate ice cream. Personnel testing, a manager's guide. What about that? Establishing a quality workforce. This looks like I should read it. Okay, so I'm already getting this problem of stacking the wrong size stuff on top of other size stuff. And what I need to do, let's get this here. It's really important when the books come in. All right, yeah, I have a bookstore, online bookstore called considerthelilies.org. And it's a business. Wow, you like the coloring book? Look at that. You want to get it and color in there? Yeah, you got a pen? Yeah, good. You got your whole art kit. She's got a big art kit that we got at the Mega Trends. What is this? John Nesbitt is one of the shrewdest observers of the changes sweeping America today. He looks kind of goofy, if you ask me. Yes. Now, on my book show, I heckle sometimes. Here we go. Yeah, but at least you got on the show. Even though you look kind of like a leprechaun. So who said that he was one of the shrewdest observers of the changes sweeping America? Alvin Toffler, author of Future Shock and the Third Wave. Wow. What year was this book written, I wonder? Gonna have to check it out. $15.50. Wow. Oh. And the slipcover's on upside down. So I need to change that. 10 New Directions Transforming Our Lives. Megatrends. Warner Communications. That's Warner Brothers, right? That's where we need to figure out the world is Warner Brothers, Warner Books. They'll tell us what we should do with our life. The 1982. Wow. Yeah, ever since this book came out, we really got squared away, that's for sure. Or it might not be. A lot of good things happen, Don't want to be super negative about it. Okay. Try to always look on the bright side of life. Alright, so this is a little bit bigger. I'm going to put it here. Check this out. Oh my goodness. This is really just what I need, right? Now, I saw this stupid article on the dangers of emulators, right? Okay, well, I don't have these old. I've got a brand new Nintendo Switch, right? Got some games for it, a couple of games, right? Much as we could afford on a low budget or whatever. But, old Nintendo games, have you even got that equipment anymore? Well, you can get an emulator and you go search for Nintendo ROMs or whatever like that and run all this old stuff on an emulator. And it, it's kind of cool. But I have no idea. But this is just what I need, because this is like the ultimate Nintendo 64 Pocket Guide 1999 edition, right? Now I have a little book and I can go. I don't have to. It's like okay, if you go on the internet and you're like Nintendo, you search for Nintendo torrents, right? And every person on the entire internet who has Nintendo torrents, right, their computer will then send all the old Nintendo ROMs to you, right? So it's like they don't want people to be able to play that anymore because they're like, well, maybe there's... Right, well, if you go play that, you won't buy our new stuff. Okay. And this is a story that I've been on before. They're like, so they go to the media and they're like, the danger of, this. Okay. Somebody, a programmer, right, wrote this game. A bunch of people wrote it. And when it was written, you fired them, right? And they had to scramble because they were wage slaves, right? And you want to say, well, this belongs to us now and forever. And the business of the American government should be to, uh, uh, make us be able to make money with stuff that's downloadable from millions of computers like water over the entire, like rainwater over the entire internet. Now, I was at many years ago, the advent of MP3s, there was all this hysteria and everything like that. How are we going to sell these $60 CDs, I got news for you, buddy. You're never going to sell a $60 CD because I can't afford it. $3 or $2 is more likely if you wanted people to buy it, what it needs to be. What people have the money to pay for it, right? That's why. After vinyl, I struggled, sometimes to get $10, $12 to buy a vinyl record. When I was little, they were like 50 cents or something like that. And when it went to like $30 for a CD or whatever, there were people around, drug dealers or whatever, who could afford that, but not me. So, okay, so the government, what should the government do? Should the government come to my house and go, okay, we're going to put you in jail at taxpayer expense, and we're going to confiscate all your computers because there are MPEG-3s on it? Do it. I would be honored to be taken off to jail for that. No, but anyway, back to the story. I went to a graphics conference, and they had legal experts. They had, the Digital Millennium Property or whatever. It wasn't to that level of stupidity yet, but it was like, the concerns about copyright and, how can we commodify culture, We hire people to write these very complicated programs, right? Or we get a musician, right? We pump them full of opioids or whatever like that until they go crazy, and then we take all the rights to their music and they can't play anymore, and they go and die somewhere. And then in perpetuity, we have copyright to that. So the job of the government should be to go and inspect your computer. We shouldn't have, all this money you're spending on fire departments and clean water and sewage and stuff like that. That what you need to be checking is people's MP3 downloading, right? That's what the function of government was. Well, okay, at this meeting, the lawyers all came. And they were like, protecting your copyright and stuff like that. And they were like, look, the government should not be in the business of propping up your failed business plan, right? And here's your problem. You're charging too much money, right? And the big discussion was like, the Chinese, he's like, okay, well, let's look at the situation in China. How do you sell real, you want to sell DVDs in China? It's like this. All your movies or whatever, anybody that types in the movie's name in a torrent can download your movie. 0 days. Somebody will make a video of it in the theater, They can do that. So everybody can do that. All right, okay. Your idea is, well, the government should go around to every single individual and put them in jail, or whatever. They have to stay in jail or whatever because they downloaded your movie. The lawyers were like, look, your movies are raining down just like rainwater rains down. Think of it this way. It's like saying you sell bottled water, right? You sell bottled water, and you look around and it's like water is evaporating from the reservoirs that you own and going into the clouds and raining down, and people are harvesting it off of their roofs and rain barrels and distilling it and using that for water. And the government should put a stop to that. And you get this rain barrels here in Gwinnett County, they have to go out with a stamp on them that this is not to be used for water for people to drink. You're not supposed to drink it. Why? Because it's bad for bottled water business people, right? The tax, and a lot of times this is a thing. Don't take my word for it, but get yourself some water testing strips. It's good to know a little bit of chemistry, and bring home some of that quote unquote distilled water and mountain water and purified water, whatever, from Walmart, and put a test strip in it. Why don't you do that? Because you're going to find it, at least at my Walmart, when I put a test strip in a distilled water from Walmart, it sure didn't look like it was distilled water, right? It had a lot of stuff in it. The strip indicates the chemical content of the water. So you're giving yourself in all likelihood, right? They're like, we can fill these jugs from the tap, right? Because the taxpayer pays to keep that water clean, right? The taxpayer pays for the water treatment, the infrastructure, and everything like that. So you can make a real profitable business selling bottled water that's just tap water from the tap. You can do that, if the price is right? So the lawyers at this meeting were like, look, if you wanna sell DVDs in China, you want them to stop pirating it. What you need to do is you need to reduce the price to where it's more convenient. Like when they want to see a movie, they're walking from the subway on their way home to their apartment in Beijing or whatever like that, and there's your DVD there. It needs to be like $1 or something. They're never gonna buy it for $17. When they can download it, it may take 2 days to download or several hours to download. They could have it immediately by the time they got home and not have to store it for about $1, 8 yuan. Beijing, I think, was 16 yen, the price they set on. But the lawyers were like, yeah, once this was done, once the price was made it not worth it to pirate it, right? Once you offered something that was worth buying, people would buy it, right? If you're offering something that's not worth it, it's completely worthless. If your movies, right? Okay, you've got theaters, distributors. That's a way, because you can, a good 3D movie, you go to the theater or whatever. I can't go to the theater these days. It's too expensive, right? I can't go. But most of the time, I'm not interested in watching your stupid movies, I got better things to do. But yeah, anyway, at this SIGGRAPH meeting, people were like, I can't believe these attorneys. They say that the government shouldn't be the business of the government to prop up our failed business plan. We need to change. Who are we electing here? And it's interesting because corruption because of lobbying and stuff. Chinese would say corruption is legal in the United States, right? You go, pay a bunch of money, you get a politician elected. If you have a failed business plan, he's like, yeah, I've got to prop up this failed business plan. But the attorneys were like, this is a bad idea. The government should be there to make the society run well and safely, be a place where people want to live, not where people want to go on shooting rampages and just give up, They see no future and no hope. And the business people that already have millions of dollars they inherited from their family or whatever like that, they're just like, look, this is my boss, I need to keep making my millions for all my resorts and everything like that. Man, if you had seen some of the crap that has happened around the world to places where oligarchy, was going on for too long, China included, it was bad. When the Cultural Revolution happened, a lot of people who were highly respected in society were dragged out in the street and beaten to death. They were like running schools. They were in charge of the whole academic system. And the kids, think about it, in China, the kids in the schools beat the teachers to death. And they said, we're getting screwed. You guys are not helping us, and we're through with you. You're going to need to change, and we're going to make a point here, man. And China did change. Um, Hopefully, they will continue to. I don't want to see China destabilized. I don't want to see any thermonuclear armed state that has nuclear power facilities, advanced nuclear power facilities, destabilized for any reason. Because Critical Chain, a business novel by the author of The Goal and It's Not Luck. Dave Barry's complete guide to guys. This is interesting. Oh, all right. Hold on 1 minute, ladies and gentlemen. Be right back. This is amazing. I didn't. I didn't mention this, but ooh, hot chocolate. Look what I got. Dante's Inferno, but better than that, it's the renowned John Ciardi translation. Yeah. Somebody has really, people. I know an Italian guy. He was illiterate. He was in the bombing campaign. Really, if you saw the movie Catch 22, he was like living in the places that were getting bombed. And the movie Catch 22 really tells a lot about what it was really like. Because I met this illiterate Italian guy, very innocent, that um, they were living in caves under the bombs. And for him, that he really believes that hell is like this when the devil is like cast out of the map of hell, and Dante's Inferno is like the devil is cast out from heaven, and he gains so much speed he's falling from the dome of the seven heavens or whatever, the dome of the firmament, and when he lands on the earth, hell is sort of like a crater, right? And the devil is embedded, in the very bottom of it. So this old Italian guy really believes that. But unfortunately, It's a great book. The Chiardi translation is good. The other spirit who stood by her wept so piteously. I felt my senses reel, and faint away with anguish I was swept. By such a swoon as death is, and I fell, as a corpse might fall, to the dead floor of hell. So where that's where I want to go check that out, the dead floor of hell. If you believe in this, like you think you need help. Yeah, sorry. I'm sorry somebody taught you that. It's a bad thing to do to kids. Here's an old guy. He doesn't really know any Italian. Yeah, that's just bad. Something blue. I have no idea what this is. It sounds like something sad, something blue, right? But and there's an unkempt bed. I don't know. But you think of something old, something new, something borrowed, something blue. It was like a thing for when somebody's moving into a new house. Right? 60 quizzes reveal your attitude about guys, friends, school, family, style, and beauty. Signet Classic, The Scarlet Letter. This is in pretty dang good shape, if you ask me. Not perfect, but good. American Girl, A Song for Jeffrey. One question. Life-changing answers from today's leading voices. I wonder who the leading voices are. What coach is Tony Dungy's advice for achieving success? What is Coach Tony Dungy? Coach Tony Dungy. Kid you not. What advice does Malcolm Gladwell give parents about instilling a work ethic in our children? How does President Jimmy Carter suggest we continue forward and reinvent ourselves in new seasons? What does that even mean? I'm not going back to work. I got enough work, just keeping the house in order. So. Drew, never stop asking. Maybe this is signed by the author. That would be cool. Who's the author? Ken Coleman. Yeah, it looks like it's signed by the author. Drew, never stop asking. Cool. Always like when a book is signed by the author. Adds value. If you've ever watched my book stream, you're familiar with this procedure. Yeah, so a recap. We talked earlier about Amarna, the Tel El Amarna, is the place where tablets were found that said the Abiru people were expelled from Egypt around the time of the Exodus because they had a plague, right, with Passover coming. That should, yeah. So for me, being Jewish, I think, something did happen, right? And also you can't, the Egyptians kind of made, in these tablets, I think they may have made it smaller, but usually Egyptians don't talk about. If you take a course on Egypt, they're renowned in their history for, like, if they don't like the way things came out, they just write something different. And that's very believable. Because the United States, they invaded and they murdered everybody and they committed all these atrocities and stuff. and other people, they fought with them over the land, and there was huge bloody bloodbath. And then they invited poor immigrants from abroad and enslaved them, and they also captured slaves and brought them here and enslaved them to get the benefits or money and stuff like that, and get the country going with a good, healthy oligarchy, right? And then they made up all these stories about how it was all really nice and good things, and in the olden days, things were nice. No, they were killing everybody and stealing, the land and stuff. Sorry, but it wasn't very nice. There needs to be some, payback. Um, oh, as Bill sees it, this is one of those AA books. I'm lucky. What I do is I just get a big bottle of wine and guzzle it down really fast, and then the next day I feel bad. I'm like, oh, I don't want to drink. And I just don't drink. Uh, you can trust the Bible. What does that even mean? It's just, it's a collection of old books from Jewish people. And this thing too, you find that in Pew Research, nobody knows less about the Bible than Catholics, or religion in general. I think that was only Catholics don't know anything. Right. And this lady the other day, she was telling me, well, you just have to eat eat his flesh and drink his blood, the magic of the Eucharist, and then you become like him. And, this lady I was talking to, she had become obese. I don't remember Jesus, anybody, they were kind of, not a lot of people. There wasn't a lot of obesity. Maybe Herod was obese. Rich people were obese, but you're eating the Eucharist, and the last time just have more of his flesh and drink his blood. Ew. The Bible says don't drink blood, any blood, not animal blood. And you're drinking what's supposed to be human. The Catholic Church says it transforms. When the hocus pocus of mystery of faith happens, the wine transforms into human blood, true man's blood. And you drink it, and then you become like the man, Jesus. And that's all you got to do. And people get mad. They're like, the priest was saying something, and it took too long. And a lot of times what he was saying is like, you guys need to give more money because the building, we need $8 million to take care of the building. That's what the priest is often saying. Love, sex, and lasting relationships. God's prescription. Oh, I didn't know God was a doctor. For enhancing your love life. Oh, brother. Ho-hum doesn't look very interesting. But such is life. New York Times bestseller with over 2 million copies sold, The Gifts of Imperfection. Brene Brown, PhD, LMSW. You're a guide to a wholehearted life. Social work lady. Maybe that's interesting. I want a book like Syntactic Structures. I'm glad, yeah. The Miracle of the Kurds. The remarkable story of hope reborn in northern Iraq. Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah. The United States has a policy that they don't want a Kurdish corridor between Syria and Iran, right? So they sold Saddam a bunch of poison gas to gas the and then when they attacked him in the Gulf War, of course, his soldiers, a lot of them were. And I know a guy that was driving a tank in the Kuwait, and Bush Senior was like, Saddam was like, "We give up. We're gonna leave. We're pulling out now." And Bush was like, "No, we're gonna kill you now that you're trapped in a giant traffic jam trying to get away from us. You can't get away, so we're gonna go in and massacre you." And this guy was like, "Yeah, we were up there and we're running over people waving white flags. We're in tanks. And guess what? There were Kurdish conscripts, so Saddam just drafted the Kurds, and the United States killed them directly, instead of paying Saddam to kill them. The Time Traveler's Wife. That looks interesting. A little bit, unfortunately, damaged. Today I've got a lot of. God, look at these books. They're piling higher and higher. It's amazing. Stunning. Among the Crepe Myrtles. The Jesus Purpose. Jesus always. That's what we need. But yeah, you don't get much about. I want to recommend. I would like to say that Jesus is worth studying about, because he's a very influential person. But you know how scammers are. People jump on the bandwagon, right? And they're just trying to get your money and stuff with all these stupid books. It would be good to take Bart Ehrman's class on the historical Jesus. That's very good in so many ways, because there's a lot of things about the Bible or about in particular the New Testament, which is not really part of the Bible. It's something that was pasted on the end, that was written by people who never saw Jesus, did not speak his language, didn't speak with anyone who spoke his language a century after his death, right? So the Gospels, to learn about Jesus, I mean, yeah, the Gospels are important, but you need to do a lot of background work. Actually, what happens is the Gospels, for a lot of people I know, they're so full of contradictions that, the Passion story is different in every single. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John is different in every one, right? So immediately when you actually read it, for example, my wife is Catholic, she'd never read that stuff. It's like nobody reads that. And you can't blame them, because it's so transparently, baloney that you just feel really uncomfortable with your end group or whatever, where it's supposed to be cool to announce every Sunday that you believe in all this stuff. Ghosts that get people pregnant. Yeah. Ghosts don't get people pregnant. No. Sorry. it's common in Jesus' time when you don't know who the daddy is to say that it was God or whatever was the daddy. It's very common. Yeah. Oh, this is cool. Good night construction site. That's good. A battery operated book, and it works. The batteries are good. The Brain Health Guide. Wow. This is so sad. It got scratched up, the cover. Such a nice book. Books should be treated with more respect. Nancy Clancy. Man, it's starting to get up past my chin here. Goldie Rocks and the Three Bears. Corey Rosen-Schwartz and Beth Colton. Illustrated by Nate Ragg. Yeah. So these are going to be the books that are coming onto the bookstore. The Little Engine That Could. We have a lot of copies of that famous book. Pokemon. Time Out for Torchic. Ready to Read. PJ Masks. Wow, Frozen hairstyles. This my daughter is going to like. Because it's got all the hairstyles, and it's got the little girls getting their hair done that way. My wife will probably enjoy that too. This is an oldie but moldy. A fish out of water. Janet Ivanovich. The Muppet. This is really cool. The Muppets Character Encyclopedia by Disney. Wow, this is really awesome. Cool. All right. So, I need to go get these books shelved and send some of the book photographs off for being loaded on the store. But I appreciate anybody that tunes in. If I had more inspiration, I would be talking more. But yeah, I had a pretty eventful day, so probably need to rest. But I'll talk to you soon, and the next time I should have this table cleared off with all these books and everything, and be ready for some more spasmodic Japanese robot combat, and hopefully I'll get better. I'm trying to practice and get more skills and stuff. But until next time, I'll see you then. Take care. Then something did happen. Little Otto. Want to read it? The fish out of water.
Don't talk about it. Don't talk about it. I want to make a puppet. Where's the finger? go down.
Yo. What's up? Professional name, I am sorry, man. He's still there. Man, I've been running around. Got him at 5:30 this morning. Did about a 3-hour stream. Still working on it. Let me have pray for that.
These worst converts gradually formed themselves into a peculiar class, outwardly Christians, at-heart Jews. By the populace, who nicknamed them Moranos, or the Town, they were regarded with more distrust and hatred than the openly observant Jews, not because of their related to Judaism, but their dissent and in their intelligence, energy, and strength. Baptized Jews, who had been glad to encumber themselves of their Judaism, shared in these feelings of aversion. They were the worldlings who valued wealth, rank, and luxury above religion, or the over-educated whose philosophy had led them to skepticism, and whose selfishness induced them to welcome a change which brought them out of the narrow confines of a small community, and opened up a wider world to them. Their hearts had never been in Judaism, and they adhered to it only out of respect or a certain compunction. To them, forced baptism was a relief from chafing fetters, a welcome forward into the overnight state which always side by side. For their own advantage, they simulated devotion to Christianity, but were on that account neither better nor more religious men. Jews, or any member of the community, thus engaging one aided on the existence of the full body of Jews. But found out that the matter had been robbed of so many able and learned men physicians, others, who was indeed of the church had been enriched by their wealth and intelligence. But these very forces were used to inflict harm and mischief on the Jews who remained steadfast. Their enemies, their former brethren, the converts could easily attack them. Don Proferus, a baptized Jew, made the
That's
rabbis
funny.
of Alcala the target of his ridicule. In a poem he represents himself as often the want of sleep finding repose at mass in the synagogue of his town, when suddenly he is disturbed, and scared away without mercy by Jews with long beards and slovenly garments come hither for early morning prayer. A sharp rejoinder to this effort of theirs at the same time was the foresight Jewish poet in the name of the Alcala community. Spanish poetry reaps considerable advantage from these passages at odds. First, up to that period starched, solemn, and stately as the punctilious ceremonial of the Madrid court, in the hands of Judge Christian Sanchez acquired the flexibility, with and merit of means the rainfall true of death. This term and style were gradually adopted by Christian poets, who followed the expression of English by a point to their epigrams. Not only the apostate, the monk, Diego de Valencia, used Hebrew words and Latin on the Jews, but the same process was not the surprising experiment of Christian psalmists, Alfonso Alvarez de Villasandino, a malicious spirit might have been inclined to say that Spanish poetry was in process of being edazed. A few of the Christians showed that active zeal in the propagation of Christianity, whereas it may not isolate and remove faith among the old Christians, one may be learned for the companionship of their former friends. Emilio Baptist, as the Bravash, of Braga, and Hitler of Orthodoxy, exerted himself
I don't have these level of weapons. 70,000 damage.
Francisco drew up a letter in that language, dwelling on the decline of Judaism and enthusiastically propounding the dogmas of Christianity. His applications of biblical texts to the doctrines of the Trinity, original sin, redemption, and the Lord's Supper appear almost dual in Hebrew. His friend's answer was meek and believing, every word of it is and he had done the sensibilities of the church and its zealous servants. The Spirit was recalled this year, Solomon wrote in Mark, in one place to result as he praised those arguments from Christ during the message. Apologizing in his introduction for interfering between two friends, he proceeded to point out that as a Jew must respect himself in humility, whilst the statements made rendered it impossible for him to remain silent. Solomon gone through the
38 seconds.
and Francis translation, showing them to be irrational and untenable. He justly said, use this and distort the Bible text to establish the Trinity. That view of the Trinity, you will demonstrate the point as rightly and convincingly argued in the Old Testament. Of all the Jews' concepts of 1391, similar to the Bible Moses, Rabbi Simon Lee wrote in 1351 to 1352, line 1435, the Christian rose is very important to himself, and the religious dignities under the name of Paul Roman 6, or to Santa Maria. Previous to this change of creed, he had been a rabbi, and he had three verses
this
As a
thing?
Jew, he was extremely orthodox and went to this, passing his own
Tudor.
His name was, however, good and high. Ambitious and fitting to the last degree, he soon began to regard as too narrow his sphere of action within the walls of the college, which during a long period counted him amongst its students and teachers. He longed for a life to obtain a seat. He sought access to court, and began to live like a grandee, with equipage and horses and numerous retinue. It was his ambition to become a Jewish emissary or even to obtain a higher appointment. His occupations bringing him into daily contact with Christians, and frequently involving him in religious controversies, he devoted some attention to church literature, in order to be able to make a display of learning. The massacres of 1391 dissipated his last hope of obtaining high preferment as a Jew, and he consequently resolved, in his 40th year, to be baptized. To deny the death of from his conversion, the new Christian, Paul de Santa Maria, caused it to be understood that he had embraced Christianity only, as a result of the convincing arguments put forth in the theological writings of the Swollen Thomas Aquinas. The Jews received such protestations with disgust. Knowing him well, they did not scruple to ascribe his conversion to a craving for rank and power. After his change of faith, his family, wife and sons, renounced him. For a commoner, the only road to high office lay through the church. Solomon Paul knew this well, and at once proceeded to Paris and attended the university, where he pursued theology. His knowledge of Hebrew gave him a great advantage, and helped him to distinguish himself. It was not long before the blonde and rabbi became a duly ordained Catholic priest. Then he betook himself to the 184 papal court at Cuba, where the high, obstinate, and proselytizing cardinal, Pedro de Luna, reigned as Antipope under the title of Benedict XII. Here, during the stormy church schism, favorable opportunities were traded for themselves. One of those favored by his shrewdness, zeal, and eloquence. He was appointed Archdeacon of Trapenjo's canon of Seville, his first steps on the ladder of the Catholic hierarchy. He abandoned himself to the most ambitious dreams. He might become a bishop, cardinal, and why not the pope? The times were propitious. He boasted that he was descended from the most ancient and the noblest branch of the human race, the tribe of Levi, the same that had given birth to Mary, the mother of Jesus. He was not an ordinary priest sprung from the people, but had ancestors bound to be acknowledged and distinguished by the church. On the recommendation of the pope, he was later on overwhelmed with honors and favored by the king of Castile, Don Henry III, and his ambition was satisfied. The apostasy of so respected a rabbi as Solomon Bergensis not only created the greatest astonishment among Jews, but filled them with anxiety. Would this example not find imitation in a time of so much trouble and temptation? Would it not wise waverers, or at least encourage pretending Christians to persevere in the course given? Forgetting the duty of the priest, it was found that after his own conversion, Paul considered it his duty to convert his former co-religionists. To this end he left no stone unturned. With voice and pen he assailed Judaism, seeking to in Jewish literature itself. Lord married to King Charles III of Navarre, and she found out the new Roman community. She seemed to be like the Roman and Messiah for death, having fulfilled their promise, and divided war with us, follow his example. To another chief rabbi, Don Mialdius, physician Lord married to the Castilian king, Martin III, all this time he was the rest of the secretary of Christ and he exaggerated their love of drink, and boasted of his own sobriety. Paul evinces in this satire considerable skill in handling the new Hebrew language, but, notwithstanding his opportunity, he exhibits little wit. As soon as he had acquired a position at the papal court at Cuba, he devoted himself to calculating the Jews were going to bringing about new persecutions. His purpose became so obvious that Cardinal Lepandeluna himself, and other ecclesiastics, ordered him to desist. He considered the Jews had to pay dearly for his silence. He also encouraged them to choose practice. So Cornelius Ponce carried his enmity to him when he arrived at John Henry III, to abstain from employing both Jews and new Christians in state offices. Did he wish to render impossible the rivalry of some fellow Hebrew, his superior in religious? In his writings, Paul de Santa Maria exhibited as much hatred of Judaism as of Jews. While the Franciscan monk, Nicholas Herrera, a born Christian, held up the works of Jewish commentators like Rashi as models of simple exegesis, the former rabbi found his observation of a rabbinical writing discipline nonsensical and scandalous. On the other hand, the most ridiculous commentary of the church writer was Hugo Hoffman, learned to pass it over. The were not slow to recognize their biggest foe in this new Christian, and they prepared for a severe struggle with him, notwithstanding that 186 their choice of weapons was limited. Christians were not only free to say what they pleased in illustration of the ends of their doctrines, but could appeal to the summary authority of the sword and the dungeon. Jews were facing all kinds of circumlocution and ambiguity to avoid the violence of their adversaries. The gallant stand of the Jews against the power of the admiration of all the sins are not with victorious story, but with sterling light. The campaign against Paul de Santa Maria was opened by a young man, Joshua ben Joseph, and advised him to the position of the Arab scholar, who had only been taught to teach the Rabbi. Joshua outwardly administered many a delicate reproof to his apostate teacher, and at the same time, by his naive doubts, helped destroy the close of the fundamental doctrines of Christianity. He observes in his introduction that the conversion of his beloved teacher had to him more than to elevate source of astonishment and perfection, as his example had been a main support of his own religious belief. He was at a loss to consider the motives of the southern teachers. He says, how, surrounded by riches and tendons, thou didst yearn for thy former humble state with its life of retirement and study, and so was thy wont to speak of thy high position as empty mockery of happiness. Nor could he suppose that Paul's Jewish relations had been disturbed by philosophic doubt, as up to the moment of his baptism he had conscientiously observed all the ceremonial laws, and had known how to discriminate between the kernel of philosophic truth which harmonizes with religion and Ignatius 12:187 which so often passes for a real teaching. Seminary persecution led him to doubt the possibility of the enduring power of Judaism. But even this theory was untenable, for Paul could not be unaware of the fact that only a minority of Jews live under Christian rule. The larger numbers sojourn in Egypt and enjoy a certain degree of independence. So that if it pleased God to allow the communities of Christian lands to be extirpated, Jewish race would not by any means disappear from the face of the earth. There remain, continued Joshua Vines of Lorca, the the assumption that Paul had carefully studied Christianity and had come to the conclusion its dogmas were well-founded. He begged him, therefore, to impart to him the convictions at which he had arrived, and thus dissipate the doubts which he Joshua still entertained as to the truth of Christianity. Al-Agri then details the nature of his doubts, probably but forcibly attacking the Christian system. Every sentence in this epistle was calculated to cut the Julian new Christian to the quick. The evasive and embarrassing reply, which Paul indicted later on, clearly indicates how he had been strong in his attack. The philosopher, Chastor Crescus, also came forward in violent defense of the religion of his fathers. He composed 1396, a political treatise Tratado, in which he tested philosophically the Christian arguments of faith, and demonstrated their ungenuineness. This work was addressed to Christians more than to Jews, and was particularly intended for the perusal of standards of hierarchy whose friendship Chastor Crescus enjoyed. And it was written not in Hebrew but in Spanish, which the author employed with ease, and its tone was calm and moderate. Chastor Crescus set forth the unintelligibility of the doctrines of the cross, the redemption, the Trinity, the Incarnation, the Immaculate Conception, the daily transubstantiation, and examined the value of baptism, the coming of Jesus, and the relation of the New Testament to the Old, with dispassionate deliberation, as if he did not know that he was dealing with questions which might at any moment light the fire that had already died by. At about the same time an accomplished Toronto, he began asking and the new Christians. In the entire history of the Christian controversy no such scene satire had been produced on the Jewish side as that now issued by the physician, astronomer, historical student, and grammarian Prophet Duran. During the bloody persecution of 1391 in Just Catalonia, Prophet Duran, otherwise Isaac ben Moses, or, as he called himself in his works, Epodiephides, had enforced a singular conversion to Christianity. He was joined by his friend David Owen Gundula. Both resolved at a convenient opportunity to abandon their hated master and emigrate to Palestine, where they could freely acknowledge Judaism. Their affairs being arranged, Prophet Duran traveled to a seaport town in the south of France, and there awaited his friend. The latter, in the meantime, was sought out by a team across the Julian apostates, Solomon Paul de Sanchaleria, and thus prevailed upon to remain a Christian. What was Prophet Duran's astonishment when he received the letter announcing, with much exalted favor, the definite acknowledgement of Christianity by Andronicus, who exhorted him also to remain in the pale of his adopted faith. The letter contained an enthusiastic panegyric of Paul de Sanchaleria, who had been taken into the favor of the King of Castile. Prophet Duran could not remain silent. In reply, he inflicted punishment on his friend, and more particularly on the proselytizing Paul, in an epistle characterized by heinous irony, which has not 189 yet lost its sting. It pretends to ascend to everything advanced by Andronicus, and to confirm him in his resolve to remain a Christian. Be not he like your fathers not having caught out the bedroom frame throughout, and so are believed his admonition fully by Christians used under the title of Tech and an apology for Christianity. Whilst thus continuing to criticize the errors of the older faith, Prophet Duran dwells on the Christian dogmas, not by describing them in their most reprehensible form. He concentrates on the weakness of Christianity, the full light of reason, spiritual teaching and philosophic deduction, apparently with no desire to change his friend's intention. A portion of the satire is directed against the Jesuit Paul de Sanchaleria, upon whom though it has bestowed extra praise. Thou art of opinion that he may succeed in becoming pope, but thou dost not inform me whether he will go to Rome, or remain at a big cutting reference to the papal schism distracting the church. Thou extollest him for having made efforts to free Jewish women and children from the obligation of wearing the Jew badge. Take the glad tidings to the women and children. For myself, I have been told that he preached mischief against the Jews, and that the Cardinal of Pamplona was compelled to order him to be silent. Thou art of opinion that he, thy teacher, will soon receive the mitre or cardinal's hat. Rejoice, for then thou also must acquire honors, and wilt become a priest or a Levi. Towards the end, Prophet Duran changed irony into a tone of seriousness. He raised his former friend Notreber as a Christian in the name of his respected father who, had he been alive, would sooner have had no son than one faithless to his religion. As it is, his soul in paradise will bewail the faithlessness of his son. This tearful epistle was circulated as a pamphlet. Its author sent copies not only to his former friend, but one night also to the physician of the King of Castile, the chief rabbi, Don Miages. So telling was the effect produced, that the clergy, as soon as they discovered its tearful character, made it the subject of judicial inquiry, and committed it to the flames. At the request of Chastor Crescus, Prophet Duran wrote another anti-Christian work, not, however, a satire, but in the great language of historical investigation. In this essay he showed, from his intimate acquaintance with the New Testament and the literature of the Church, how in course of time Christianity had degenerated. Favored and promoted by the anti-pope, Benedict XVI of Avignon, Paul of Burgos rose higher and higher. He became Bishop of Cartagena, Chancellor of Castile and Privy Councillor to the King. Don Henry III whose malice did not succeed in prejudicing the King against the Jews, or inducing him to bargain from state employment. Don Henry had two Jewish physicians, in whom he reposed his social confidence. One, Don Miages, an astronomer and philosopher, he appointed, perhaps in imitation of Portugal, to the chief cabinet of the various Castilian communities. He was always in the King's trade, and it is possible that to some extent he influenced him favorably towards his co-religionists. The other was Don Moses Argel, who celebrated the rich Spanish ritual wished for birth and marriage of Castilian girl, following the views of the Neo Parade poetry to do honor to the newly born prince, in whose hands, he prophesied, the very six of the Pyrenean Peninsula would be united. The plot, as between two salons, which the Spanish Jews employed during the reign of Don Henry was favorable to the production of two literary works, almost lasted any importance brought forth the scene. None of these works was ever taken. They were useful, however, in keeping alive the 191 spirit of better times, and in preventing the treasures of Jewish literature from being forgotten. Prophet Duran managed to make Felix of every baptism and to settle down quietly in Spain or Perpignan, where he commentated Maimonides' philosophy, and some of Ibn Ezra's works. He also composed a mathematical and calendarial essay Sheshbot and an historical account of the persecutions to which his race had been subjected since the dispersion. His best work is the Hebrew grammar Bami Abad, written about 1403, in which he summarizes the results of older writers, rectifies their errors, and even attempts to formulate the principles of Hebrew syntax. A production of more than common merit was written by Chastor Crescus, now on the brink of the grave, his spirits shattered by persecution. He was a profound, comprehensive thinker, whose mind never lost its sense in details, but was forever striving to comprehend the totality of things. His scheme for a work treated, in the manner of Maimonides, of all phases and aspects of Judaism, investigating the ideas and laws out of which Jewish teaching had gradually developed, and harmonizing the details with the whole where the connection had ceased to be apparent. Bears witness to the extraordinary range of learning and the versatility of his art. The work was to be at once a guide to Talmudic study and a practical handbook. Death appears to have prevented the accomplishment of this gigantic enterprise. Only the philosophic portion, or introduction, needs completed. In this introduction, Shasta Crescus deals, on the one hand, with the principles of universal religion, the existence of God, his omniscience and providence, human free will, the design of the universe, and, on the other, with the fundamental truths of Judaism, the doctrines of the creation, immortality, and the Messiah. Crescus was less dominated by the Aristotelian and 92 lines of medial philosophy than his predecessors. It had lost its halo for him. He perceived its weaknesses more clearly than others, and probed them more deeply. With both hands he tore down the supports of the vast edifice of theory constructed by namely on Aristotelian grounds to demonstrate the existence of God and his relation to the universe, and, conversing with the whole method of scholastic philosophy, he combated it with destructive force. While the philosophy of his day appeared to him vague and illusory, he considered the foundation of Judaism unassailable, and set himself to show the futility of the criticisms of the former. The acknowledgement of divine omniscience led him to the daring statement that man in his action was not quite free, that everything is a necessary result of a preceding occurrence, and that every cause, back to the very first, is bound to determine the character of the final action. The human will does not follow blind choice, but is controlled by a chain of antecedent circumstances and causes. To what extent can the doctrine of reward and punishment be admitted, if the will is not free? Shasta Crescus' answer to this is that reward and punishment wait on intentions, not on actions. He who, in purity of heart, wishes to accomplish good which must, of course, necessarily follow deserves to be rewarded, as the man who willingly promotes evil, deserves punishment. The highest good to which man can aspire, and the end of all creation, is spiritual perfection, for bliss everlasting, God to be obtained, as the philosophers imagine, by firm defined with metaphysical theories, but only through the active love of God. This is the substance of all religion and particularly of Judaism. From this point of view it may with justice be said that the world was created for the sake of the Torah, with the aim of the law is to unite the immortality by means of ideas and commandments and the guidance of the thoughts and actions. Shasta Crescus, the first to distinguish between universal religion and specific forms, such as Judaism and Christianity, propounded, deviated from the Maimonides system, only a peculiarly Jewish tenets. His just objection to Maimonides' 13 articles of faith was that they were either too many or too few, inasmuch as they blended discernibly fundamental truths common to all religions, and teachings peculiar to Judaism. Together with Claudius Duran and Shasta Crescus, Don Leonides, the Castilian chief rabbi, in the brief interval between two bloody persecutions in Spain, as a writer of philosophic works. He was not an independent inquirer. He merely translated the Ethics of Aristotle 1405, in collaboration with Benjamin Scaling Lani into Hebrew, making the work accessible to Jews, who, in practical life, lived up to its principles better than the Greeks, who produced them, or the Christians, who, in the pride of faith and church doctrine, considered themselves above the necessity of conforming to the requirements of morality. Throughout the reign of John III of Castile, the life of the Jews was tolerable. The remnant of Villas Arno severely punished Cardinal Martinez, applying Lutheran massacres in 1391, as a warning against further excesses. He permitted the Jews to apply to land, removed the law of his ancestor, Alphonse I, and relieved his Jewish tax fathers and finance administrators from restrictions. As soon as he died at the end of 1406, the affairs of the Jews again took an unfavored turn, foreshadowing unhappy times. The heir to the crown, Juan II, was a child, barely 2 years old. The regency devolved on the Queen Mother, Madame de Catherine of Lancaster, a capricious, arrogant 194 wicked young woman, who imagined that she ruled, while she was herself ruled by her various favorites. The co-regent, Don Ferdinand, later King of Aragon, who was intelligent and kind, allowed himself to be guided by the clergy. By his side in the Council of States at the Apostate Rabbi, Solomon Elias Paul de Santa Maria, another and more mischievous Elisha Acker, emphasized Judaism was an abomination, and every Jew was stumbling block. The deceased king, Don Henry III, had appointed him executor of his will and tutor to the death. He consequently had an influential voice in the council of the regency. What a prospect for the Jews of Castile. It was not long before they were made to fill the hostile spirits of the court. First it defeated itself and attempts to interview the more notable Jews who had endorsed the courts of the grantees of the kingdom, and occupied positions of distinction. The intention was to dismiss them from these positions with a reminder that they belonged to a despised caste. An edict was issued October 25, 1408, in the name of the infant king, providing the anti-Jewish statutes of the court of Alfonso the Wise. Whereas the exercise of authority by Jews may conduce to the prejudice of the Christian faith, their occupation of posts in which they might possess such authority was forbidden for all future time. Every Jew permitting himself to be invested with official functions, even by a nobleman or a municipality, was to be fined twice the amount of the revenue of such post, and, if his fortune did not suffice to make up the required amount, it would be confiscated, and the owner would become liable to a punishment of 50 lashes. Officially appointing the Jews to a post of influence would also be punished with a fine. To ensure the working of the edict, it was enacted that the number of the court process of thoroughly to 1/3 of the confiscated 195 estates. Officials were charged to make the edict known everywhere, and carefully to watch that its injunctions were carried out. It is impossible not to suspect the hand of Paul de Santa Maria in this decree. No one knew better than he the strong and the weak points in the character of the Spanish Jews, and he doubtless calculated that Jewish notables, in danger of losing their official employment and high social position, would go over to Christianity, while the faithful, excluded from intercourse with Christian society and from participation in the public life of the country, would suffer a decline similar to that of the German Jews. At the same time he bent his gaze on the Almaes, the physician of the decade. The Queen Regent had no cause to injure this Jewish nobleman. Only Paul could desire his ruin, because he was the mainstay of his opponents and the leader of those who held him up to contempt. With the object of procuring his downfall, a vindictive accusation was trumped up against him. While the Queen Mother, with the infant king, was staying at Zenobia, some priests charged a Jew of the town with having bought a consecrated host from the Saracen, in order to bless the edict. They further stated that the holy wafer had worked such terrible wonders while in the possession of the Jew, that in fear and trembling he had delivered it up to the fire of a monastery. Whether the story was fabricated, or whether there was a grain of truth in the bush of fiction, it is impossible to say. Suffice, however, to attract the serious attention of the bishop, Velasquez de Torxelas, who caused a number of Jews to be arrested as accomplices in the crime, among them Don Leonides. Criminal proceedings were formally commenced by order of the Queen of Egypt, and Alphonse and his fellow prisoners were subjected to torture and confessed their guilt. It is stated that in examining the Alphonse made a confession 196 of the lifetime had the king, Henry III, had come by his death upon his hands. Although everybody knew that the king had been ailing from his youth, Don and Marco must have been specially interrogated while under torture as to whether he had poisoned the king and put to death in the most inhuman manner. He was torn limb from limb. The same fate befell the other prisoners. Still not satisfied, the bishop of Segovia accused some Jews of having lied to his poison his healer, who also were arrested. About this time, one of the synagogues in Segovia was transformed into a church. The troubled times, projecting shadows of a still more unhappy future, produced no colleague among honest fellow Messianic men. Again arose in the minds of visitors. As over time Edward Newton raised to the dignity of an approved authority, the Catholic daily acquired more influence, although it was not so in proportion to the zeal with which its authority was advocated. Greek Kabbalists were particularly active in exciting the emotions and turning the heads of the people Abraham of Granada, Shentok ben Joseph, and Moses Lotero. The first composed between 1391 and 1409, the Kabbalistic work, the farrago of strange names of the deity and the angels, of transverse letters, and jugglery with vowels and accents. Abraham of Granada had the hardihood to teach that those who could not apprehend God by Kabbalistic methods were wrong to weak in faith, were ignorant sinners, and language praised of the apostate were overlooked by God, and not their as such a prophet. He thought that the their religion by culture was only by their fatal application to scientific study, and their contempt for Kabbalah. On the other hand, he confessed to seeing the persecutions of 1391, and the conversion of so many prominent 197 Jews to Christianity, the tokens of the Messianic age, the suffering that must precede it, and the approach of the redemption. Shentok ben Joseph and Shentok died 1430, accused the Jewish philosophers, namely, Aristotle and others, of constituting and the king revealed was upon the other times. In a work entitled And the King made violent attack on Jewish leaders who threw up against Germany, taught the establishment of the Roman both the Swedish tradition and the genuine, were true. The entire book contains grave charges against the more enlightened school of Jewish thinkers, and panegyrics of Kabbalistic nonsense. These two men, Abraham of Granada and Shentok, though narrow-minded, were sincere, differing in this respect from Moses Lotero or Barbarello, also a Spaniard, from Cisneros, in Castile, who received his worst fraudulent intent. He gave out that he was a bomb church and prophet. He announced himself even as the Messiah. He prophesied that in the spring month of 1393 the Messianic age would be ushered in by so many marvels. Later on he wrote a work for the many of the more radical towns, such as Algiers, Liliana, Constantine, Egypt, Haran, and the Jews fleeing from Damascus in 1391, and the Christians anxious to get rid of Christianity, they were in 198 forced to embrace, but which they hated cordially. Almost daily there came fresh troops of refugees from all parts of Spain and Majorca. The transplants were new laws and authorities, commercial influence. The more tolerant and humane than the Christians, received them without imposing a full tax. At first, the Mohammedan population grumbled a little at so sudden and considerable an increase in the number of Muslims, fearing that the first religion to be raised. However, the narrow-mindedness and selfishness of their complaints were pointed out to them by and in time to quiet they were satisfied, and the Jews were allowed to settle in their midst in peace. The small Berber communities once since the cessation of the Almohade Revolution war acquired greater importance through this immigration. The newcomers preponderated the members of the native Jews, so that the latter, to a certain extent, were forced to adopt the Spanish communal organization in this foreign ritual. The Spaniards, in fact, became the leading elements of the old African communities. The distinguished rabbi, Isaac ben Joseph Barkat, who had his faith trustee and settled in Algiers, was recognized by the king of Yemen as chief rabbi and judge of all the communities. His notes even contained his admirers, Salas and Cohen, popular physician and accomplished man, who not only practiced his art but his efforts and his passion in leading both Mohammedan and Jewish people. In the name of the king, the local rabbis were forbidden to assume clerical or judicial functions without the authority of the chief rabbi, Isaac ben Joseph. This meal was attracted from the assistance and judges. Continued to form the in 199 Algiers he continued to prove wrongdoing with the conscientiousness and impartiality that had always characterized him. Among the members of his community was a mischievous personage Isaac Bonasser, who had concealed an influence for the Algerian court.
No weapons?
This was tantamount to throwing them on the mercy of Christian executioners. Such selfishness and injustice the chief rabbi, Isaac ben Sheshet, could not tolerate, and he laid the ban on the heartless Jews, who tried to escape the punishment. So determined was he that, with the assistance of Pastor Cohen and his brother, the Baron of ultimately brought saved to land. In Africa, Ben Sheshet that worked for nearly 20 years, promoting the welfare of his co-religionists and the interests of religion and morality. His declining years were appeared by the persistent attacks of a young rabbi, Simon ben Zine Duran, an able Talmudist, who had emigrated from Majorca. Ben Sheshet was succeeded on his death by Simon Duran, born 1361, died 1434. The community of Algiers elected him on condition that he did not seek a revocation of his appointment from the king, probably because the authority removed his successor from the new proclamation of the Jewish. Simon Duran, an accomplished mathematician and physician, was the first Spanish Jewish rabbi to take faith. He publicly excused himself 2 minutes for doing so, on the ground of his necessitous circumstances. During the persecutions in Majorca, a portion of his large fortune had been lost, and Ranger had been sacrificed in bribing the mourners who threatened to deliver him as refugees and Christians who lived in the law. He had arrived in Algiers almost at beggar, and the healing art, by which he had come to earn assistance, Joshua the oracle of Lord soon on his baptism the name Geronimo was sanctified. The Inquisition was and, like his teacher, Catherine called de Santa Maria, considered his mission in life to draw his former husband over to Christianity by every possible means. Vincent Ferrer, afterwards Canada, was one of those ruling natures within the 12 years of yellow years. And saints like Gertrude, he stood alone among the clergy and for the state who could have learned the pleasures of life had no charm for him. Troubled and worldly decisions he pursued not. He was penetrated with pure humility, and entered on his work with earnestness. Unfortunately, the journals and qualities of society had impressed him with the fantastic idea that the end of the world was at hand, that man alone could be sustained by adopting the Christian faith and the monastic mode of life. Vincent Ferrer consequently was not a project. He marched through the standards of the man who served our bodies with body force, and sent the man who sought to sustain former friends, leaving them who prayed about the salvation of the world. With the Fire soon obtained ascendance over the public mind. When he sought to recall the sufferings of Jesus, and to fit the
72,056. Yeah, that would be enough. And I don't mean I'm gay. Himself to be the vicegerent of God, one of whom, John X. Sinai 1410 to 1415, had exhausted cattle of the vices and deadly sins, pirates, trafficker, indulgences, and assassin, and the partial of this do not say striking men people for being generous yet, and agro cases one really pure, one in the 202 Vincent Ferrer. The devil can transform into a thing one, the learn into a vicious beast. So much viciousness cannot be spontaneous in human character, in the appearance of Christianity. It must have been derived from the Christian teaching itself. Unlike Wycliffe and other reformers, Ferrer did not raise his voice against the shortcomings of the church, but devoted himself to Jews and Prophets, serving as adversaries of Christianity and opponents of the infallibility of the Pope. The pen and voice he opened a crusade against Jews, which he sustained for several years. His most recent effective war aimed at the Spanish Christians, but during the massacre in 1391 he gone over to the church, but still largely conformed to Judaism. Attaching to apostasy, partly won over by the fiery young priest of Victor, the Moran of the Unified Convention of Faith, which Ferrer regarded as a great victory for the church, and charged for the church's history, and to help the conversion of the entire body of Christianity of Christianity. Pissed off, are ya?
Who honored him as a saint, he was very interested in putting down popular risings during the civil wars without bloodshed. Encouraged by the consideration of the Castilian royal family, they were granted permission not only to preach in the city, but to force Jews and Christians to listen to his addresses. Crucifix in one arm, the Torah in the other, escorted by flagellants and spearmen, he called upon the Jews, with a terrible voice, to roll themselves under the cross. Like Kathy Weiss, Vincent Ferrer was not averse to the employment of force. He represented to the Spanish rulers that the Jews should be strictly isolated, as their intercourse with the Christian population to free was calculated to injure the true faith. These suggestions met with too late a response. Further than the other two conversions, unspeakable sorrows were brought upon the Spanish Jews. Indeed, the years from 1412 to 1415 may be reckoned among the saddest in the sorrowful history of the Jewish people. Shortly after Ferrer's appearance at the most Christian court, the regent Donna Catalina, the Infante Don Ferdinand, and the apostate Paul Bergen-Sista Santa Maria, in the name of the child king, Juan II, issued an edict of 24 articles January 12, 1412, the aim of which was to impoverish and humiliate the Jews, and reduce them to the lowest grade in the social scale. It ordered that they should live in special Jew quarters Judaias, provided with not more than one gate each, under pain of confiscation of fortune and personal chastisement. No handicraft was to be exercised by them. They were not to practice the healing art, nor transact business with Christians. It goes without saying that they were forbidden to hire Christian servants and fill public offices. Their judicial autonomy was abolished, not only in criminal cases, in which they had long ceased to exercise it, but also in civil disputes. The edict prescribed a special costume for the Jews. Both men and women were to wear long garments, in the case of males, a coarse stuffs. Whoever dressed in a national costume, or in fine materials, became liable to a heavy fine. On the repetition of the offense, the corporal punishment and confiscation of property. The wearing of the red Jew badge was, of course, insisted upon. Males were prohibited from shaving the beard or wearing the mark paint on their dresses. No Jew was to be addressed, either in conversation or in writing, by the title God, to the infringement of which a heavy fine was also attached. They were interdicted from carrying weapons, and might no longer move from town to town, but were to be towed forwards to one place of the road. The Jew to take an negation of the latter restriction was to lose his entire property, and be made a bondman of the king. Grantees and burghers were sternly enjoined to afford not the slightest petitions to Jews. Unlike the more devoted soon influence of the apostate Paul de Santa Maria, these Jew healing laws. They singled out the most sensitive features of the Jewish character, pride and sense of honor. Wealthy Jews, in the habit of appearing in
What's wrong, you lagging?
smoothly shaven chins, were now to don a disfiguring costume, and go out with stubbly, ragged ears. The cultivated, who as physicians and advisors of the grantees had enjoyed unrestricted intercourse with the highest ranks, were to confine themselves to the clean water, or be baptized. Baptism being the hoped-for result of all these cruel restrictions, increased with merciless vigor. The contemporary writer Solomon Alani describes that every hard fighting inmates of palaces were driven into wretched looks, and dark, low rest. Instead of rustling apparel, we were obliged to wear miserable clothes, which drew contempt upon us. Prohibited from shaving the beard, we had to appear like mourners. The rich tax farmers sank into want, for they knew no trade by which they could gain a livelihood, and the handicraftsmen found no custom. Starvation stared everyone in the face. Children died on their mothers' knees from hunger and exposure. In this generation, the Dominican gathered at the synagogues, crucifix in hand, preached Christianity in a voice of thunder, offering zeros and life and opportunity for the Christian Roman populace, inflamed by the passionate eloquence of the preacher, emphasized his teaching to by violent assaults on the Jews. The trial was greater than the unhappy Castilian Jews could bear. Flight was out of the question, for the law forbade under a terrible penalty. It is not surprising, then, that the weak and lukewarm among them, the comfort-loving and worldly-minded, succumbed to the temptation and saved themselves by baptism. Many Jews in the community Mataro, Segovia, Avila, Benavente, Leon, Valencia, Burgos, Astorga, and other small towns, went over to Christianity. Several synagogues were turned into churches by Führer. In the course of his 4 months sojourn December, March 1412, 1413, in the kingdom of Castile, this proselyte monger inflicted wounds upon the Jews from which they led to death. When, heirs of the kingdom of Aragon were hitherto advised on the rival claims of several pretenders to the throne, and he went through his exertion to Castilian Infante, Don Ferdinand, was awarded the Milanese crown June 1414. The regent, Donna Carolina, issued a new edict in the name of her son 17th July. In this document, the Jews were still interdicted the exercise of handicrafts, but were allowed, under a multitude of conditions, markets for their merchandise. The prohibition to hire Christian or Mohammedan domestics was confirmed. But, on the other hand, the employment of day laborers and farmers for the priests and vineyards of Jews, and shepherds for their flocks, was permitted. The new law allowed Jews to trim their hair and to eat shares, but not entirely underneath. The hair was ordered to be left untrimmed, and shaving with a razor was forbidden, as though the Queen Regent and her sage counselors were anxious that Jewish 206 orthodoxy should not be wrong. The new decree proceeded wearing a cotton material for the 16 markets. Had been fixed at half this sum, but imposed a funnel-shaped head covering, to which it was forbidden to attach tassels. The vehemence with which the edict declaimed against the ostentation of Jewish women disclosed its female authorship. Under this decree, freedom of domicile was once more accorded to Jews. It is noteworthy that the new edict applied only to Jews, whereas its predecessor restricted Mohammedans as well. Transporting inadequate error to Aragon, the states of the kingdom began to experience trials and misfortunes. The newly elected king, Don Ferdinand, owed his crown to Ferrer, whereas arbitrator between the rival pretenders he would normally espouse his cause, proclaimed him king, and united the populace in his favor. Ferdinand consequently paid exceptional veneration to his saintliness, appointed him his father confessor and spiritual advisor, and granted him his every wish. Foremost among Ferrer's aspirations was the conversion of the Jews, and to advance it the king commanded the Jews of Aragon to give every attention to his discourses. The zealous proselytizer made a tour of the kingdom, vehemently denouncing the Jews in every town he visited. His intimidation succeeded in converting a large number, particularly in Zaragoza, Doroca, Tortosa, Valencia, and Majorca. Altogether, Ferrer's mission to the Jews of Castile and Aragon is said to have resulted in not less than 20,500 forced baptisms. This, however, did not end the woes of Spanish Jews. Pope Benedict XVI had still worse troubles in store for them, employing as his instrument his newly baptized Jewish physician, Joshua Lorque, otherwise Geronimo de Santa Fe. This pope, deposed by the Council of Pisa as schismatic, Herodic 207 and forsworn, deprived of his spiritual functions and put under the ban, projected the conversion of the entire body of Jews in Spain to the Church, at that time the object of universal opprobrium. On the Pyrenean Peninsula he was still regarded as the legitimate pope, and from his base of operations he used every effort to procure a general acknowledgement of his authority. He was not slow to perceive that a general conversion of the Jews would powerfully assist his design. If it were thus up to him to overcome at last the obstinacy, blindness and infidelity of Israel, and to bring it under the sovereignty of the cross, would it not be the greatest triumph for the Church and for himself? Would it not put all his enemies to shame? Would not the faithful range themselves under the pope who had so glorified the Church? What better proof could he give that he was the only true pontiff? To promote this scheme, Benedict, by the authority of the king, Don Ferdinand, summoned towards the end of 1412, the most learned rabbis and students of scripture in the kingdom of Aragon to a religious disputation at Tortosa. The apostate Joshua Lorque, who was well read in Jewish literature, was to prove to the Jews, out of the Talmud itself, that the Messiah had come in the person of Jesus. The design was to operate on the most prominent Jews, the papal court being convinced that, their conversion effected, the rank and file would follow of their own accord. Geronimo carefully selected the names of those to be invited, and the pope or the king attached a punishment to their non-attendance. What were the Jews to do? To come or to remain away, to accept or to refuse, was equally dangerous. About 22 of the most illustrious